up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Bikini Talks with your girl May and
Teresa right here.
She's on the right or my left. So we're back here talking about how to find the right coach when it comes to bikini competitions. And there's different types of coaches specifically for like lifestyle bikini. If you need a nutrition coach, and so like finding out like whether or not that's the right coach when it comes to competing is very important, because if you don't have the right coach, you're not going to get your goals quicker. So I guess the two that we wanted to talk about is, do you need a coach for bikini or a nutrition coach? So, having a coach that has like a good wealth of knowledge when it comes to bikini is something that you would aim towards, because they have knowledge on how to sculpt your body. They have knowledge on how to create your meal plans so that you get to your show with the physique that, we're hoping for, right? When you get a nutrition coach, it's different. A nutrition coach, they're very knowledgeable, or like say a dietitian. They're very knowledgeable when it comes to like, the type of meals that you should be eating, basically whatever you read in the book, they got you. But it's different when it comes to like say a bikini bodybuilding coach and a nutrition coach, because this dietitian doesn't know how to peak you. Like say for instance, as bikini competitors, the weeks prior to your show are very important, because this is how whether or not they're gonna bring you into like what's the word that I'm looking for, T?
Well, I'm going to jump in real quick, because there's a difference between a dietitian, a personal trainer, and a coach, because a coach is both, and a coach is not just like doing your nutrition and your training, but they also provide your supplementation as you go through the stages of competing. A dietitian is only with your food, and your goal could vary from, just maintenance, bulking, or leaning out. And that's, most coaches or like dietitians, or nutritionists, they just stay on they're just food focused.
Right.
Because you might be a trainer and you're just saying, well, I can do my own training program, but you don't know how to put together the meals based on your goals. And that's where, you hire a nutritionist or a dietitian. Now, a personal trainer, of course, you just like know how to train yourself and other people. So that's the difference between having to have a nutritionist, and a trainer and a coach. A coach can be both, or they have, well, not most coaches will be there to actually train you, but they can create a program for you based on your goals of having to peak you at the right time when you actually do a show. So I think that's what you were trying to do or say.
Right. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, that's the part that I missed out on, is like, hiring a coach that's going to coach you through, your competition prep, is going to give you like your supplement, your supplement plan. Like you said, dietitians don't do that. Because that's something that like the doctor would give you, right? Like, and not, yeah. So.
There might be like certain specifications why you use a dietitian, because you have special needs, whether you are, like food sensitive, or you have, your
SIBO,
or you have diabetes or some sort, you might need special cases where you need to substitute certain food. But like a coach who's very knowledgeable would be able to accommodate certain things for you with the help of a nutritionist as well, or a special doctor in that regards, if you have special needs, make sure that you address that with your coach as well, because if he cannot, you definitely want to be able to like have them like put together, based on those two feedbacks, so you can actually reach your goals. But, a lot of people think that if you are a personal trainer, you can do this on your own and just like compete. There's nothing wrong if you want to do things on your own versus having to hire a coach. But a coach is a second. We still recommend that you get like a coach, because at least you have a second eye looking at you, because a coach exactly knows what you need to change overall in your physique, because bikini is physique.
Right.
Delivering the best physique, the leanest, the most conditioned, maybe not the leanest, but the most conditioned, balanced um, condition on stage. This is all about it's symmetry, and it's about physique. So
Right.
delivering the right, make sure that your shoulders are, like big enough, or at least not big enough, but at least it's proportioned to your size. You have a good waist. You have like a conditioned, your legs are conditioned. I mean, all of these are like, if you have a coach, they can easily eye on you and say, okay, I know what we need to work on, and everything is going to be tied in together. Your meals, your supplements, and your training will be all based on that, what the coach provides you. A dietitian cannot give that to you. A personal trainer cannot just do that for you.
Yeah, and if you're coaching yourself, there are going to be things that you can't see because you're doing so much, and to have that second eye to keep an eye on you and tell you what you need to do is going to take the guesswork out of everything. So, you want to make sure that if you are training yourself, it's probably a good idea to get a coach for the fact that it's going to lessen the stress on your body, the stress that's going on in your life. It takes the guesswork out of things, and it just makes your life easier. So,
yeah,
I mean, we all need a coach.
Competing alone is very stressful, and it's not an easy thing. Like I tried to do it thinking that I could, like, oh, I can do like a 7-week show. And then when I started learning all these things, it was overwhelming. And the less stress that you have to think about, the better. And it's just like having to put a trust in having to guide you. That's why you hire a coach. It's because they can guide you to get you to where you need to in this competition.
Yeah.
So I think that's about like coaching versus, getting a dietitian and a trainer.
Right. And then
kind of an idea on that.
And then, the next thing is to figure out whether or not you want to get a coach that's local. If you feel better with that one-on-one interaction and having that person in front of you, if that's the type of person you are, it just depends, right, on your personality. Some people can work with folks online versus offline, like at the gym. So, that's something that you have to kind of figure out for yourself. Like, like, can someone write a plan for me, and I can go to the gym and figure out how to like do this all myself? Or you need to work with somebody at the gym and they need to show you like the proper range of motion, mind to muscle, and all that stuff. So that's I think the other important part, whether or not you need a coach in person or online. What are your takes on it, T?
Yeah, like finding a coach is like, social media is so big right now. It's almost become their resume. And, like having to look there, like even just going to the gym and talking to people, you'll find, having to network, finding the right coach for you. Some people like the in-person one because they can visually see you in person when they do check-ins. There's a difference with submitting photos online to an online coach because, maybe your lighting is off, or it could be a small variable and it's not as accurate as it is. But a lot of competitors do get like online coaches, right? So I think it's just a matter of preference. But it doesn't mean the online doesn't work. It works. It works a lot too. So it has its, pros and cons. It's just a matter of what works for you.
Yeah,
right?
You just got to find something that's going to work with you. And it's kind of like, some people like to read books and some people like to be in class. That's a good analogy, right?
Yeah, but just by the way, like in regards of like coaching, like a coach doesn't necessarily mean they're a trainer. So you could hire a coach and then hire a trainer on the side to really like get you, to where you are, because a lot of people don't have the proper training tools or, knowledge to actually execute the training plan. So that's why a lot of some athletes, especially even in the higher caliber, they do hire like a trainer on the side, aside from their coach. Just make sure that you have the distinguishment and, between the two, because that the trainer is also following the plan based on what the coach told you, because there's a reason why they're giving you a training plan. So you can build on those things that you need to work on to make sure to achieve the the physique that you need to deliver on your show day.
So the training plan she's mentioning, excuse me, is the workout plan. So your coach is going to give you a list of exercises that are based on how your body is and what they feel like you need to build. And so hiring the trainer, so the personal trainer is at the gym showing you how to do each movement and how to do them correctly. So sometimes, when you're coaching yourself and you get this plan, this workout plan from your coach, sometimes, people are just going through the motions and then you're like 1 year into it, it's like, what the hell? I don't see any improvements. It's because the entire time you weren't properly going through the correct motions. So if you see that, people typically hire a trainer to get them to that next level and just to kind of show them how to work out properly. And then once you get that, that's like a really good foundation. So, that's it.
And I'm going to chime on to that too, because you might want to ask this as well in your coach, because some of them, they don't mind having you taking videos of you doing your training, as you work out, so they can actually pinpoint and correct you when you're doing your workout. That's actually a good question to even ask your coach. If, for example, you're a beginner and you haven't used a lot of equipment and you're not familiar with them, most of the apps and the programs they give you, they actually have videos on how to do, the program that they're giving you. So that's a good guide, but sometimes, watching it versus executing it is also different. So some coaches, it's like, well, send me, one of your training days and, they can basically, and then shoot them back to them so they can give you feedback based on that. And they might say, hey, I need you to add more weights on that. I need you to slow it down, check your tempo when you're doing those things. Those are actually good feedback. And if that's something extra that you can get from your coach, that's even better.
Yep. Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome when our coaches are able to correct us and make sure that we're properly going through the right range of motion and, slowing it down, utilizing time under tension and those kind of things. I usually just post my stuff on social media and I tag my coach and she corrects me if I'm doing it wrong and it's boom, done. So, those are really good tips. The next thing that we want to talk about are budgets. Like, what is your budget? Hiring a coach requires you to put a pretty good investment into it. And depending on how much you're willing to spend and who you hire, it's just going to vary. So I'm going to leave that up to T because I think she has more information about the type of budgets and.
Well, it really depends, right? Because it's like a lot of us, I work on a budget because I can't, when I first started looking for a coach, budget was a big deal for me. I didn't realize how expensive they are. And on top of it, you're spending money for your food, your supplements, your gym membership, your NPC card, all of these things that you never thought that you are going to be spending on. So for me, and of course, a lot of us too have families, right? So they all range in from, right now it could be from $250 to even $700 for a coach. And that's a lot of money that you put out in a month. It's like a car payment, it's almost a mortgage. So, and
you got to think about, like you said, how much your food is going to cost. Then you got to pay for gym membership fees. Then, if you want to get fancy smancy, you know what I mean? You get the gym clothes too, so everything kind of adds up. And then, the supplements.
True. Yeah. And the supplements too are expensive, like crazy, so just to think of it. Yeah. And sometimes those supplements, you have to replenish this every month as well. So, it just depends on what you actually need. But budget is a big deal. But if budget is not a big deal, I think it has to go hand in hand. It has to work with your budget, and it also has to work with the return of your investment, because you just don't want to hire any coach. So take your time to really search around for, based on this amount of what this coach provides, I'm getting, the best bang for my bucks or whatever, return of, and some are it's just very basic. So that's why you get less, you may pay less. And some, they just have all these blows and whistles or whatever. And that may be just way too extra that you don't need to pay for. So I guess the range really depends on your budget and the amount of information and that you're going to get in actually having to get to where you need to in this competition, especially if you are competitive and you want to go far. And of course, you want to hire the coach that actually delivers a lot of, delivers results,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then, the next thing is, after, while you're interviewing, these coaches, asking them questions about like their credentials, like she said, checking out what type of results that they do have. Like a lot of coaches have an Instagram page. You can see their before and afters, and you can see how many people that they turned pro or how many people they made, made it to nationals, or like their overall wins based on, like just the people they coach and how far they went. So usually those are kind of things to look at. I love looking at the before and afters. It's like, wow, they did that in 3 months. But then again, I kind of have to step back and be like, okay, well, their genetics are probably different. You know what I mean? Because some people are going to see results faster than others or whatever.
Yeah, true.
But you can see a trend, right? You'll see a trend and you'll start seeing their posts, the before and afters, and they keep on producing results. And so those are things that you really want to look at. And then making sure, when it comes to communication, how reliable are they when they communicate to you? Are they taking 2 or 3 days? Are they answering you like a week from now? Are they even looking at your questions and answering every single question, everything that you listed in the message that you sent them? Are they sympathizing with you? Is that energy there? A lot of that has to do with energy, because if you're not vibing with that coach, then, it's not going to work. You're going to be scared to talk to that coach, share how you're feeling. If you mess up, like you should be able to talk to a coach and tell them, like, I feel this way and this is what I've been doing. And, they shouldn't come down hard on you. What the coach should actually be doing is, letting you know, like, okay, like, I understand what you're going through. Let's find another way. Let's find something to help you not do this again. So give you some solutions rather than, pointing the finger at you and saying you messed up. You want to be able to find, have a coach that gives you solutions so that the next time this happens, you're not having to, go through the same thing again. You have a solution that they provided to you and you know what to do. And then, yeah, maybe it might not work the second time or the third time, but you have that in your head and you're going to try it every single time and eventually you'll get it right. Just like, everything else, like you keep trying until you get it right. And so, having a coach that you feel really comfortable with and just not scared with, and someone that's going to educate you and not make you feel like you messed up and, you're not doing a good job or whatever. A bit like a supportive coach. You want a very supportive coach.
Yeah, like it's like what May had mentioned. It's all about communications and the type of communication you want to get back. A lot of us, have questions, or sometimes we're kind of lost in the process and you want somebody to explain that to you. There's some people who want answers, to what they're going through, right? So communication style is definitely dependent on the athlete and the type of results, or in terms of the quality of the answers that they provide you. Are they actually answering your questions? So like, for example, like for me, I get frustrated if a coach doesn't get back to me within, if it's more than 2 days, that's a no-no for me, because I want to make sure that they're not wasting my time as much as, like of course you're paying for a coach, right? So you want communication as soon as you can, right?
Yep.
Even if it's no excuse that whether they have hundreds of athletes or a small, group of athletes. The thing is, do you want to get consistency in terms of communication? That is important for me. So if that's important for you, that's something that you want to like ask ahead of time, and say, how's your communication style? Do you actually communicate, right away. And like when they say yes, and it's like, well, how is your turnaround time? Is it within a certain time frame? Because you want to be able to have a window and not just like, oh yeah, I communicate and then they get back to you after 5 days. And that's just like, I feel like that's disrespectful for the athlete, because you're paying for each day and for whatever that may be that you hired them for a coach. So you want to get your program back as soon as you can, the feedback as soon as you can, because that's also delaying your process, to get to where you need to. And of course, the quality of the response is definitely important, because some athletes, they want to understand what they're going through, right?
Right.
And
Yeah,
some of
like
them,
a good example would be like, the supplements. Why are we taking these supplements, and why are we taking them at the time? Like, when should we take them? Why? Same thing with like, different types of food when they switch it up. It's like, okay, why do you want me to have this? And it's just simple things like that. It doesn't take a whole lot of the coach's time to answer those questions, but having a coach that's very knowledgeable and that can share that with you, I think is very helpful, because at the end of the day, what you want to get out of this is the experience and the knowledge. So eventually, maybe one day you want to coach yourself, and then you'll have all the skill sets to coach yourself. It gives you that peace of mind when you know the reason why things are done a certain way.
Yeah, it's you want to go into this and not just an experience, but you actually want to learn along the way and understand what you're putting in your body, because it's your body. At the end of the day, you're responsible for it. So if you just like follow instructions and you don't know what that effect of that's on you. Yeah. Because you just kind of let it happen. You didn't ask why. I know some of us, we don't want like an explanation. Just give me the plan and I'll follow it. If that's you and it works for you, great. But for some who are like more cautious about what they're actually getting into, you should be able to get answers on those. So yeah.
So yeah, just make sure you ask those questions, when you're looking for a coach. Just so like you just know, like, when you get deeper into prep or whatever, you don't feel as bad as, you don't feel that bad, basically. All right.
I think we touched base on communication style. So the other thing that we want to like discuss on is like how coaches are really hands-on with this, And if somebody just gives you like a plan and you're hiring somebody and they tell you, it's like, how long do you think it's going to take me to prep for a show? And they might tell you, it's probably going to take 16 weeks. And they just give you the plans ahead of time without even like knowing how week to week your progress is going. That's a no-no. So, if you get that in advance, I would just like walk away, go to the next one and just interview them.
Yeah, because, like, you may think you need 16 weeks, but a lot of the good coaches are gonna say like, let's prep you and not set a time frame, because of the fact that they don't know how your body's gonna respond. They don't know how your body's gonna look 16 weeks from now. You might need more time, or you might need less. So that's why if you find a coach that says like, oh yeah, I can get you there in 3 months, walk away, or even like 8 weeks, I can get you there in 2 months. Walk away, because that's just not how it works, because that coach knows absolutely nothing about you and how your body is going to respond to different things. And like, like I always say, like, you might have good genetics and then shoots, all you need is 2 weeks. Okay, that's a little extreme, but
extreme. But you just competed 2 weeks ago.
Right. No, but I just kind of took it to the next level, but like, some folks maybe need 3 weeks or 3 months, you know what I mean? And, that's what it is. But, don't go when you're hiring a coach, don't go with that expectation. Like, I just need a prep for 12 weeks. It doesn't work that way, because, you don't know how your body's going to respond. So, like I said, if someone's going to tell you, like, give me 3 months and I'll get you there, walk away, because it's going to take some time. You gotta enjoy and trust the process and kind of just go with it and just learn about your body, like keep notes, keep track of things, how your body responds to things. And yeah, like you may said, this is a case-to-case scenario. It's not like a
one plan fits all,
Right.
because everybody is, like she said, it's not going to take just like 12 weeks, 16 weeks, or they can put a time frame on it, because some women might come in and they need more muscle growth before actually competing. So there is going to be the seasonal period where you're actually having to just build, 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 build. And of course, not everybody's going to build in a fast pace. It's going to take a long time to do it. And you really have to have the patience for it. And some people are just like who's into sports, and they've just built muscle over the years of being, whether in their gymnastics or CrossFit or whatever background type of sport they're in, and they've actually built some muscle along the way. So probably it's not going to take them, as long as the others who actually need to build muscle. So yeah, it's a case to case. So don't ever compare somebody's, 3-month transition versus to yours, because, what you just need to enjoy is actually, oh wow, like I've progressed from my day 1 to month 3, right? Because you've actually seen the changes as your body goes through, and you're responding to other foods and supplements and stuff like that, and you're training. It's going to be definitely an experience, and while you're going through that experience, enjoy it.
Right.
And take the time to like learn about yourself as well, because you definitely will understand later on. It's like, oh, I didn't know I was sensitive to potatoes, or whatever it may be. It might be the smallest things, but you just never know.
Yeah. So pay attention to those. And another thing you want to ask your coaches, like, whether or not they're giving you, some coaches are lazy and they're going to give you a template and tell you this is your meal plan. Make sure, you ask them whether or not, your meal plan is custom to you, or if it's a template. And, obviously you're not going to get a new plan every week because you don't like it or whatever, but, give yourself like a month and ask them, like, after a month, like, what do they do? Do they just keep the same plan and see how your body progresses for another month, or do they change it up? So those kind of things. And, just ask them if they're using a template, because you know what I mean? Like, if you're paying for a template, you can do that stuff yourself. Go online, go on Reddit. There's a bunch of bikini forums out there that have like sample meal plans. If that's the case, do it for free. So ask that question.
A lot of people are just, selling like this 12-week program, 6-week program, or whatever. Like most of these are like coming from, competitors as well, who probably like, it was a plan provided to them. So they're just like using the same thing. And then there's like, oh, here's my meal plan, and thinking that anybody can just copy it and then work on it.
Same thing with workouts. So you want to make sure. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
Oh, no. It's fine. I was just like jumping into it, but yeah, you're right about that, because you can definitely get that, but the results are all going to be different and all over the place.
Right. Yeah, you want something that's tailored to you, because, like we always say, like, everybody's body is different and we're all going to respond to things differently. So maybe like Lucy has these, has like a certain meal plan. So what's going to work for Lucy might not work for Mary. Lucy and Mary.
For Teresa and May. Or Teresa and May.
I know, I could have used ourselves, but then I decided to go with Lucy and Mary.
She has like two imaginary friends right there.
Hey, Lucy. Hey, Mary. So, I like my friends Lucy and Mary. Don't make fun of them. They wanted to come out and play today, so that's why I mentioned Lucy and Mary. They're my homies. We go way back. But going back to the communication we get from them, like we said, making sure that the meal plans are custom and they're not templates. The other thing is, like when you go into a show, like there's certain things that we need to work on. And I don't know if we mentioned this before, but making sure that the coach is not giving you a template and giving you a custom plan that conforms to the way your body needs to look. Because otherwise, if you're doing a one size fit all, like, how do you know? You know what I mean? Like,
well, there's a difference between having, like a really experienced, coach versus, somebody who's just like doing this for the money and just giving you, like a set meal plan or a plan, whatever that may be. That plan might be like, just for food or for training. Those are more for like lifestyle people, right. I believe in. But if you're going to be in the competition, competing, you definitely want to make sure that you're getting the money's worth for what you're
Yeah.
paying for.
You want to take your body to the next level, y'all. That's it. If you want to
Yeah.
take your body to the next level, you need to make sure you're working the parts that are lacking. And if a coach cannot give you a plan based on what's lacking, then whoop, on to the next.
Yeah. Ask questions, definitely. Like, once they get the estimate of how your time frame is going, like how your body's responding, ask them how to pick the right show for you. There's also going to be like different variables in that, because when you're picking a show, you might want to start something local versus having to fly, because you want your family to be there and see you do your first show, right? And a lot of us want to do that. And there's nothing wrong with it. So definitely, ask about that, and then ask about, post-show stuff. Did they include that in your plan? Because most of them, they will give you some sort of a reverse plan or some sort of how to get you dialed back into terms of maintenance, because you go through extremes. You bulk, which is you eat in a calorie surplus, and then you go to a maintenance, and then you go to a cut phase. And then after you get to the cut phase, it's hard to stay lean for a long time because it's not healthy for you. So they try to get you back in a healthy maintenance phase, and provide that plan as well. So make sure that you're asking about that as well. If they're giving you some advice on the shows that you're doing. So I don't know, is there anything else that you want to ask or add into what you want to ask?
Yeah. So there's some coaches that do include the reverse.
Mm-hmm.
With whatever the price is, so they won't charge you an additional month. I've worked with coaches where, during after my show, they included an additional 2 weeks, so I didn't have to pay for that. That was just included with that month. So if you're trying to save money in that aspect, find you a coach that does that. I don't think there's many coaches that do that though. There's only a few.
I think the high caliber coaches do. They definitely include that in there because they want what's best for you.
Right.
They don't want you to just go crazy and eat, and then just it's just unhealthy to do that and just eat anything on site just so you could get your fat
right.
back or whatever. But that's also unhealthy. So,
but I meant as far as if the additional 2 weeks. That's where I'm going with it. But yes, all coaches.
I'm not sure, but yeah, that's something that you can definitely ask around the coaches. And those are a lot of I think we talked about a lot of stuff, which we covered, from, a coach versus a dietitian and a trainer, having to talk about their communication style, having to interview them, having to define or accessing an online coach versus a personal coach or in-person coach, how to find coaches in social media, going through their online websites, and just some of them, actually most of them who are already known or who have built their business in bodybuilding, most of them, they have websites and there's information in there. Yep. So make sure that you read through this, and some of it, they actually include what, they put what they include in their package. And I think, asking questions and how much
and that initial response too. When you inquire about coaching, some of them take forever and there's some that are really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of one of those things where first impression does kind of make a difference too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of us, definitely basically make your questions ahead of time, before interviewing coach. And as you interview more coaches, you might discover more questions along the way and add them on the list. And then if you forgot to ask them because you didn't think of it at that time, make sure that you go back to that coach and see if they would respond back to you, because that's one thing, do you also, I think the one thing that we didn't talk about is, since there's so many coaches around, they're available, do you want to belong in a small team? Do you want to be in a big team? Or do you want to go with an individual coach? Because some people, it's important for them because they feel like they're lost in the shuffle if they're in a big team. But some
Yeah.
people like that because they actually get a lot more support. So,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
the energy. It's the energy when a bigger team. I think that's what it is. And that's why people go with bigger teams. But then I feel like when you're on a bigger team, like, communication starts lacking because there's so many people on
mhm.
that team that they need to, do updates with. But yeah, what we can do, what we can do, what we're actually, what we're going to put a list of questions that, basic questions that you can ask, you can add on to it or remove questions, but basically just a template for you if you're looking to find a coach to get into bikini competitions. You can use our list right here, or you can not
You
use
can
it.
DM us. You can DM us.
Yeah,
Yeah, IG if you want. Like, definitely, if there's anything that we can help to guide you and point you to the right direction, or if we have the answers, obviously, we would like to help you and answer those questions for you.
yes, sir. That's how we do. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us for another bikini talk session here. We love talking to y'all and sharing our knowledge and what we've been through. And hopefully something in this video helps you out. If not, thanks for watching anyways.
Thank you, guys.
You guys have a blessed one. Peace out and one love.